Hello everyone, welcome to our Tuesday night lights. We'll just wait a couple of minutes for people to hop on and hopefully I'm not doing this alone. Let's see. Coming up that I'm live. Hopefully I'm live. Oh yes, it's telling me I'm live. Hopefully the volume's off. Yeah. Well, I'm hoping people are going to join me tonight for our craft along. We've got a couple of things happening. Hello Estelle, thank you for watching. Hope you're having a lovely day. I hear that you got a little delivery today. Hopefully you are happy with your happy mail that you received. So now if you're crafting along tonight, just make sure that you tell me you're crafting along and we can I can keep the pace going at a reasonable pace, not too fast. If you're watching, make sure you comment and say hello. So it's a bit of a mixed day here in I was going to say sunny Parkinson, but it's not really sunny. It's a bit, we've had a storm and we've had, Delphi's a bit crazy at the moment. She wants to be on top of me, so I think that there might be another storm coming. Now, I'm not seeing any comments from anyone or anyone else joining, so I'll wait a couple more minutes and then we will get started. And I've got a lucky draw to do tonight. It's a customer lucky draw, so I'm hoping that those customers who have bought things between the end of 18th of August and the end of September, hope they will come on board. Steve kindly put all the names in the hat for me, but I'll wait for that. Hi Jody, nice to see you watching. Are you crafting along with me tonight? And Estelle, are you crafting along with me tonight? Tonight is all about strips. And I'm not saying that we're stripping as in strips, but it is a strippy class. So, so we're talking about scrap strips. Oh, you're not crafting. Oh, well, that's okay. You can watch and craft later. Yeah, so we've got, I've put a supply list in the event. So we've got some strips of designer series paper, and you needed quite a few, as many as you could find really. We also needed a card base and our, so this is just half of an A4 sheet. I haven't even cut it down. It's been a bit one of those days I've been finding with technology today, so we're lucky I didn't throw the phone out the window. But you love watching. That's really great. I'm glad you love watching. You might be the only one who's commenting tonight, Jodie. So now we need a piece for the front and a piece for the inside. We also need, I said in the instructions, you need a piece of acetate. Now, this could be, so this isn't, oh, this piece here is from an overhead projector sheet, but you might use a bit that is from your photopolymer stamp sets. There's always an extra piece of acetate in there. You might use the Stampin' Up window sheets. Now, I don't know if they still come like this, but the Stampin' Up window sheets used to come with a piece. They're a 12 by 12, and they used to come with blue stuff on it. stuff, protective film on it. That's the technical term for it. And so the blue protective film is just stops it from getting manky. Now you'll see, I don't know if you can, it's a good deal thicker than a piece of overhead projector sheet. But like you could use acetate from your packaging that you get from Woolies that's got the biscuits in it, or Coles, I'm not going to do, or Aldi, whichever you go to, or IGA or Drake, whichever, that has got, so you just need, so you actually need 3 squares of this. Well, yes, you do. You need 3 squares if you're making 3 baubles. You'll also need a scrap for your sentiment. Now, when I get some of my sentiment stamp sets, like this Brightest Glow one, which is the one I'm using tonight, what I often do is I will stamp a few sentiments and I'll get one of the clear envelopes and I'll stick that in the front of my stamp case. So I've got some sentiments that are all ready to go, and I also put the little backing of the stamps in there, and I do that so that if I am stamping and I want to mask the stamp, I can use those little backing bits on that. So this Brightest Glow stamp set is in a mini catalogue, and it's just beautiful, and it's got beautiful dies that go with it. Excuse me. And the other thing, oh thanks Jodie, I like to come up with little ideas to make life easier, and it means like if you have sentiments already cut, it means that if you need to make something in a hurry, then you've got those there already. I haven't got too many because it's run out of time. So the other thing you'll need is this other dies that you'll need is a circle one. So we've got here the stylish shapes, and I'm actually going to use 3 sizes because I'm doing more than one card on this. Okay, and I'm also going to use the little one as well. The last supply, other than your die cutting machine, is you need a bit of silver or gold, or so this is from the annual catalogue. It goes with the Texture Chic paper, and it's just gorgeous. So the gold, or you can use foil, you could use anything. So if, I need to take a step back. If you don't have dies, get something that's circle that you can draw around about the right size, so that will fit in your little acetate, will fit into it. I can't see the acetate there. And acetate isn't really very friendly with punches. So just keep that in mind if you're trying to punch things out. But if you haven't got dies and you've got something circular like a container that the sequins come in, or the bottom of a glass or something like that, you can trace around it and then cut it with scissors. It won't be perfectly cut, but it won't get mangled like it might do if you had it used a punch. I mean, your punch might be stronger than mine, I don't know, but I haven't had much success with that. So let's get started. Who else have we got watching today? I don't know, I can't see. So Jodie, how is the weather in Adelaide today? My friends are down in Wowler, and they said it's gorgeous down there. Hope it's better than here. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to fold our base card in half, and you want to line up your corners. If you've scored it, that's great. If you haven't, you're going to work back from the edges and back from the middle, and so that means that with your bone folder, you're not going to pucker it up. All right, so you want a nice crisp edge, and I'm not decorating the insert of my card. I am just putting a piece of vanilla cardstock in there. So I'm just going to just pop that on the inside and get that out of the way. Now, I said I'm making 2 cards. I've also got some in orange. Oh, sorry, pumpkin pie. Oh, sorry. And the Possum Super Highway is at it again. We're here every time the possum comes. Hi, Veronica. Are you crafting with me tonight? I hope so. I'm crafting all on my own. Now, I forgot to tell you how wide these strips are. So these strips, and you can use any pattern paper you like. Just use what you've got in your stash, really. These strips are 1/2 inch wide. I've also got some strips that, for my orange card, that are 1/4 inch wide. And I'll show you the difference when we get to that. So, as I said, I'm making 2 cards. So I'm going to, I've got my pumpkin pie one. I'm just going to make sure that's nice and crisp. And I'm doing my pumpkin pie with white. And I actually, for some reason, cut a thick white instead of a basic white. Hi, Kathy. Oh, lovely to see you. Oh, I miss you. I really do. My house has not been the same since you haven't been coming. You're not crafting right now. You've cleaned your craft room. That's why you're not crafting, Veronica. I know. Yeah, so I'll put my orange one to one side. So let's get started on making our Christmas baubles. Oh, you have the same weather as Jodie. I was a bit concerned about you, Veronica, because you're right on the Murray there. Obviously, but so I've already done some of my strips. So I've got my other 2 squares done. So let's see how we're going to put this together. So it's a bit hard to see my acetate. I think that might be a bit better. Anyway, so, oh, you were crafting earlier and your hands prove it. Yes, Jodie, after I saw you, I went to see Veronica for a day, well, for dinner actually. So, when we came down to visit, so that was lovely. And I'm really looking forward to seeing her when we go to Sydney. On stages coming up fast. I still haven't finished my swaps. Unlike my friend Vicky, who came over here and did her swaps, and she was like at the beginning of September, and I'm nowhere near finished. Now, if you've got a pattern on your paper, try and keep it so that your pattern works. I somehow managed to jumble mine up, so I'm going to pretend the pattern doesn't matter. Now this is also, I think it's the brightest, it's called Brightest Glow as well, I think. It's from that whole suite. Oh, that looks about right. I think that's about right. We're missing something. Anyway, so, yeah, it's, No, that doesn't go that way. Oh dear. I hate it when you can't get the pattern right. See, it must not only happen to me, it must happen to other people. Oh. So, some of them have a pattern. Oh, that looks about right. And I think that one goes up here. Yep. Okay, we've got our pattern. Whew. You're not counting. 18 days. Ah. Hi, Kathleen. Thanks for joining us. Oh, you're fine there, but it's getting higher. Yes. Well, yeah, it's a bit of a worry, isn't it? All that water heading down that way. Okay, so we've just started. We've folded our base card. We've stuck our bit on the inside. And I'm using 1/2-inch strips, and I've got my square piece of acetate. Now, you have to make a decision when you do this about whether or not you're going to use glue or what adhesive you're going to use. Because if you use glue, which normally would be my go-to because it's got some wriggle room, it can slide. And then you can get like a smeary bit all over your acetate. And yeah, I'm not worried that I've got glue on my acetate because a lot of it's going to be covered up. And this is for instruction purposes only. So I've got my grid paper. Now, I said it was really important to have grid paper. And the reason it's important to have grid paper is because it helps you get things straight. So I'm going to start. I've got my little, I'm going to use my Seal Plus on mine. Now, if you've got a pattern, you need to make sure your pattern works the right way. If you don't have a pattern and you're using opposite sides of the paper like I did here, that's fine. You can do it that way, or you can use, it works really well with papers that don't have a pattern at all, okay? So I need to line this up. And I'm lining my first piece of paper on my acetate against the edge. So this is where the grid paper comes in handy, particularly if you're using 1/2-inch strips. So, how are you, Kathleen? Is it nice and sunny where you are at the moment, or are you having storms like we are, or... Now, then you're going to leave 1/4 inch space. If you are using a thinner strip of card paper, you can make that space less. But because the grid paper has got 1/4 inch squares, it makes it so much easier if you are not using the 1/4 inch, leaving a 1/4 inch space. Oh goodness, you're good. It's good here. You think you haven't been outside. Oh, you're in Ipswich. I don't know why I thought you were further south. Did you get a storm this afternoon? We got one in Parkinson, which is about 40 minutes from you, or from Ipswich anyway. So it wasn't a very nice, it wasn't a long storm, but the poor dog, she just hates storms since, because we had a lightning strike in the park across the road, and she, since then, she's just become a real nervous Nelly when there's a storm. Like, she climbs up on us and it's a bit icky. So I'm just sticking these strips on. And of course my Seal Plus decides to be finicky and do something weird. I'll just try and fix it. Yeah. And you shouldn't drop your Seal Plus, that's what I need to tell you, because if you drop it and then you try and put it back together, it never ends well. Now, you might think, why is she sticking the stuff to the grid paper? I'm not. And my strips are longer than what I said that you needed. Just because I find it a bit easier to... So we've done this much. Doesn't matter that there's a bit over the end. So you can use whatever size squares or of acetate that you like. As I said, the window sheets from Stampin' Up are much thicker than what I'm using. Yeah, oh, you only had a small storm, that's good. Yeah, last night they had a pretty awful storm up at Howard, and I was so thankful Mum and Dad have come home from up at Barnett Heads, Barham Heads, because Howard's right next to Barham Heads, and it's so, they would have copped a lot of it, and they were expecting little mini tornadoes. So, I've cut my, I've covered my, what is this stuff? Acetate. I'm so sorry. So, and I've done that 3 times for my 3. So these are going to be 3 separate baubles. Okay, I'm just going to trim the excess of this one. Just so it doesn't stick to my embossing machine. Now, as I said before, I have got some orange ones as well, and I have done them in the 1/4 inch so that you can see that. Okay, so now I've already die cut this one. I had done this with cardstock, and I've got to go through with a little piece of a cotton bud or Q-tip or whatever you call them, and a bit of rubbing alcohol, and take off the excess glue. Now I had heat embossed a circle of cardstock with this one, and I had taken out the strips, and I've actually put it on with dimensionals to make it sit up a bit. Now, if you're going to do that, well, it's easy. If you're going to put it on with dimensionals, it's easier to stamp a full piece and then take out the bits that you don't need, okay? So I've also got one here or 2 here that I've done different size strips, and this one is all the same size strips. Now these papers are from Celebration, and I've just coloured them with pumpkin pie. Right, let's get started with our die cutting. So while I'm looking for my die cutting machine, I'm not looking for it, I know where it is. I might do a little prize draw. So, for my customers who spend $50 or more, we have a board that has 50 spaces on it. And so every $50 that they spend, hi Vicky, nice to see you. Every $50 that they spend, they get an entry into the draw. And we wait until the board fills up. And if the board isn't full at the end of the Stampin' Up year, which was the 30th of September, those people on the board get a draw for $25 instead of $50. But so these people's names, they bought products between the 18th of August and the 30th of September. Now we've already almost filled the October board. I'm glad you're here, Vicky. I can see that. So here we go. We are going to draw a name. Normally I would have the board here and we'd draw a number, but Steve, because we only had a few orders between the 18th and the 18th of August and the 30th of September, and I've got the other names on the board, we're doing it this way. So let's see who our lucky winner is, and they're going to get a $25. Whoop, that one jumped out. So who have we got? Steve even wrote the names for me. Kylie S. So congratulations, Kylie. You're going to get a $25 voucher. Now the only reason they get a $25 voucher instead of a $50 voucher is because I need 50 names on the board to get that $50. That's my $50 commission. So yeah. So Kylie, you have got a $25 voucher coming your way to spend on Stampin' Up products or classes or whatever you like. Okay, so let's get back to our crafting. So we have folded our base card. We've stuck our vanilla piece on the inside. Now we have got our little acetate squares and we've stuck either 1/4 inch or 1/2 inch strips on, which are 1/4 inch apart, or we've stuck, oops, don't need that bit, 1/4 inch strips on that are 1/4 inch apart. Now, if you will you can use whatever width that you like, but I tend to have a lot of 1/2 inch scraps or 1/4 inch scraps. Vicky, are you crafting along or are you just watching tonight? And Kathleen, I forgot to ask you if you were crafting along. I'm sorry about that. I figured anyone who is late wasn't crafting. All right, so we've got a mini cutting machine. Now, as I said, I'm using the stylish shapes to cut these out. And I'm just using circles. So I want my orange ones to be, they're going to be both the same size circles. So I'm doing this card 2 different ways. So I've got my, oh God, it needs a clean. I don't know why every time I get on camera, everything needs a clean. I've got my base plate number 1. I've got my cutting plate, which is plate number 2. Now, you'll notice I've got lots and lots of paper dust in here. So what I will do sometime this week is I will fill up a pot with hot water, and so it's boiling, and I will pop my plates in the sink and put the boiling water in it, in the sink, and then I will put the pot on top of it. Put some more water in the pot and put the pot on top of it. So what that does, if there's any slight bend in it, it will flatten the bend. The water will dissolve the paper, and then I'll get a kitchen brush and some soap, like Morning Fresh works well, or whatever cheap fairy soap works well too, or if you're in America, Dawn, and you just get a gentle brush and brush all that out. And and you can do that with your big shot plates or whatever embossing plates you have that are slightly bent. And they need a clean every so often. Like this one was never supposed to be a cutting plate, but somehow we managed to have cuts on it. So Yeah, so what we're going to do, I don't know why my paper is crooked. It drives me a bit nuts when I watch later and see my paper's crooked. We're going to put our acetate piece down. Well, this one's actually already cut. Well, we'll just only have one cut. So this is the other thing, if you already have a circle cut, you can just grab your scissors and you can just cut around it. So, I forgot about that. Oh, it's one of those days. If I never see a computer again, I will be so, so happy. It just had all sorts of issues, and trying to find a bit of music for a video that I was making, it was awful. So is everybody still here? I hope so. I feel like I'm talking to myself. Might be. Okay. Now, my embossing machine will slide because it's on a piece of paper, okay? So, I've cut out my first little circle. Now this one here, we're just going to turn it over, and if I can find my scissors, I'll just trim off the excess paper off this one. And you just use your scissors and cut around there. Follow this edge of the circle around. Okay. It's much easier, I think it's much easier if you stick the paper on and then die cut. Because you're going to get that, especially if it's got stitching, you're going to get that stitching on here. And I've lost all my comments. Oh, you're still here watching, yay! Glad somebody is, Veronica. I'm very intrigued why you asked me about my favourite Stampin' Up colours. I am very, very intrigued. And I'm halfway through my swaps at the moment for on stage. I have done 6 of them. No, 10 of them. And I'm going to do a different set. Now, sometimes when you die cut acetate, it doesn't cut real well. So it's a good idea. See, this one hasn't cut real well. Not very well. My mum would be horrified. Just real well. Oh, spent all that money on sending me to school and I haven't got very good English. Okay, so sometimes it doesn't cut well. So it's a good idea to do a double pass through the machine. Okay, let's go on with our other pieces. Hi Carol, nice to see you. Oh, you're trying out something that needed colour ideas. Oh, I did a really good challenge the other week on Stamping Family. It was a colour challenge, and the colours we had to use were, what were they? They were Granny Apple Green, Gorgeous Grape, and Melon Mambo, and the accent colour, or the sentiment colour, had to be Smoky Slate. So that was really, really lovely. It turned out really well. So I will show that to you next week, because that is, now I'm going to take my own advice and I'm going to pass this through again. I'm going to show it to you next week, sorry, because that is part of the new suite that is coming out next month. And I'm so excited for that because it has the most beautiful frames. Oh, God. Hi Doreen, thanks for popping by. Okay. So, see, this one cut much better than the first one. And sometimes you might even need to give it a little bit of a hand still. Even though I've put that through twice, it's just a very thin dye, and sometimes you need to turn the dyes around as well. The other option you can do is once you've put it through the first time, turn it upside down. Let's try that with our next one. Because when I did my first die cuts, I actually used my old Big Shot machine, because I just love it. And I don't want it to ever die, but it's on its last little legs. Okay, so as I said, I'm using three different size baubles for this card. Now, so we're going to bring it back. Okay, excuse me for it's slipping everywhere. Then we're going to turn it over. No, we're not, because the die came off. And that one's not too bad. It's going to come out quite easily. Just give it a little bit of a tug. And remember, you're cutting plastic, so these dies are actually designed for paper, not plastic. Some of the other brands have got dies that have that are designed for things like material stuff like that. So this one here is a bit of a, so what you want to make sure when you're cutting, I don't know if you can see this, that the top and your bottom of your die actually is on the paper, all right? So that you've got paper at the top and the bottom of your bauble. All right, I hope that makes sense. All right, let's see. Let's put this through. Now, if you're crafting along at home, just take your time and let me know if you need me to slow down or... And I think my babbling sort of keeps things in place, fills up a bit of time. But this one didn't need me to take it back through either. All right, so I've got those things die cut. The other thing that you'll need is you'll need some, actually I don't need to put my die cutting machine away yet. You'll need some foil or whatever to make the little bits that go on the top of your bauble. Okay, so you could use a punch or you could use a die. I'm using a die. Because I've got them out, and I've got a couple of pieces. So, and you only need basically half a circle for your bauble. Actually, you probably even need less than half a circle. And I'm just going to cut. So I've got 2 for here. And I've got 1/2 already cut, so we're right. So now we can put our die cutting machine away. And let's talk about the card. Put our dies away. All right, so as I said, you need to be careful about, if you're using glue, how much glue that you use, because it can get everywhere and be really, really messy. Let's see, who will we... So Veronica, I'm wondering what you were trying out. And Vicky, have you used your new die cutting machine yet? I got a new guillotine out last week to prep for classes, and I haven't even taken it out of the box. I haven't moved it off the kitchen bench actually, so I can't really say why hasn't Vicky used her new die cutting machine, because I haven't used my new tools either. Okay, so we've got our pieces here. So remember I said we're making 2 cards. Now you can choose. Now this is a point where you would stamp your sentiment. So you could choose to stamp your sentiment directly on your white or your vanilla, or you could choose to stamp it then emboss it, or if you're doing like what I'm doing, and I've already got some stamped, I've got a stash here that I keep in the front of my brightest glow. So see I've got different sentiments and different colours. So I've got an orange one with oh, what is that called? You're procrastinating and watching you and eating. You got 40 strawberry Freddos. Oh my goodness. Oh. And you're eating all 40 Freddos. Oh dear. I hope that doesn't undo all the work that you have done. And I'm glad I could enable you to procrastinate. So this one here is, I've done this in white, and I've actually stamped the sentiment in pumpkin pie, and then I've heat embossed over the top of it. So if you've got a stamper artist, this is what, and this one's in clear, and then this one is in gold. So I'm not sure which one I'd use. This one again is on the vanilla. And what I did here is when I stamped it on the stamper artist, I stamped it in the evergreen, but I slightly moved my cardstock. And I don't know if you, so, and then when I stamped it in Versamark and clear embossed it, it sort of has a bit of a shadow. So I'm not quite sure. And then I've got in white, a clear one as well. And I've got a white on gold as well. And then the evergreen Merry Christmas, like that. So I think I'm going to go with that colour. And I don't know about this one. I've got some embossed fronts, so I'm thinking I might go with a brick, or I can't decide. So we need to take a little bit of a vote here. Do we want a brick or do we want leaves? I thought the leaves were like a Christmas tree. That's what I was thinking. Jodie, what do you mean? Oh, I agree, Jodie. She needs to pass them around. Oh. Yeah. Amateur Vicky. I could eat 40 in one night. Trust me. So we think the ferns might be the way to go. I think the ferns might be really pretty. I don't even know the name of that embossing folder. It's called the Fern 3D embossing folder. So I just think it's like a Christmas tree. Oh, your sister-in-law gave them to you. Oh, that's cool. All right. So let's finish our baubles before I start on anything else. Now you'll see here, I've just got my little scrap of a little part of the circle, and I've made a little bit at the top. So all I did was, and I'm using again my Seal Plus because I don't want glue everywhere. Yesterday I was using the sequins, and I had glue everywhere, and I had sequins all over the house. Like I found them in my undies this morning, and I'd had a shower last night. I don't know how that happened. So yeah, okay. So I'm just going to stick my little, I've got a bit of Seal Plus on there. I'm just going to stick that on. Now you could fold it over, but I just think you just can just trim it off. Now the Seal Plus works pretty well with the acetate, all right? So this is sort of like the top of the bauble thingy. I've got number 2. Now you don't have to have your lines going left to right. You can have them going on a diagonal or whatever you like. I'm just going left to right because that's what I feel like doing today. Now, if you wanted to raise them up, like put them on your strips on your acetate and with dimensionals, you can do that, but just be mindful that you really need to have the cardstock underneath the paper to make it a bit stronger. Right, let's do these other ones over here while we're doing it. So I'm working on 2 cards at once. Multitasking. We always found dimensional backings in our washing machine, Vicky. But I don't know how the sequins got in my undies. I just have no idea. I found some in our bed too. But I think that they were because Delphi was lying on the floor next to me. So I'm going to blame her. Yeah. I found them in the fridge, and and I know our friend Wendy, when she went to a hotel somewhere and she found them in a room that she was staying in that she just arrived at, and that I'm sorry if I'm doing this out of the camera. I just can't see when it's all the way over there. Yeah, anyway, Wendy found the dimensional backings on the floor in a room that had just been cleaned. So, and they didn't come from her. So these are our little, I don't know what they call the tops of baubles. Does anyone know? I have no clue. I should ask my niece, she probably knows. She knows about all things Christmas decorating. So the Seal Plus will hold that in place nicely. And I'm on to my last bauble top. It's a clasp. Oh, thank you. Oh. Now this one, it's only got a little bit of space to play with here. So I'm going to have to go over the edge. Okay. Now turn it over so I'm cutting from the back so I can see, and it's much easier when you take the manky bits of what do they call, foil or whatever it is, metallic stuff off your scissors, it works much, much easier. All right, much better, sorry. All right, so you've got these other little strips that you've cut off. So sort of straighten them up. And what I do is I just fold them in half, then stick them behind. So sort of fold them in half like that. You might need to straighten them again if they're not if it's not a perfect fold. Oh goodness, hands aren't working today, and I don't want to chop my nails off because I've got my Halloween nails on. They would have matched your dress, Vicky, that you had on for your birthday. I probably went to the loo with sequins under my nails and they went into the knickers. That's probably what happened because I have no clue. So I'm just going to get a bit of my Seal Plus and put that on the back of my thing. Now you could use a glue dot if you want. And I don't want try and line it up with the centre. I don't want very much showing, it's just a little bit, but you need to make sure that you can't see it from the back. You can't see see it from the front. So I just stick it behind. And as I said, I will go through with a little cotton bud and rubbing alcohol and take off any of the excess glue. All right, so this is taking a bit longer than I thought. All right. Probably should practice these things first. I like winging it. It would be no fun if I practiced and got it right. I have made these lots of times, but not for a little while. And so I'm probably thinking, oh, Chrissy, they're terrible. But anyway, it's all good. Now, if you don't want to put the gold pieces behind, you don't have to. I'm just doing it because I thought it would be good. Now, let's finish off. We've got our orange one finished. Oops. Dodgy workmanship. It's like glue. It must be the humidity. Okay. So we're going to, now this is where you get to play with however you want to do it. In hindsight, I probably should have a smaller sentiment for this one, but let's go with the Merry Christmas, the orange Merry Christmas. And I've got a bit of ribbon here. So before I stick, now this ribbon is really pretty. It's the satin edged ribbon, and it's got a bit of gold in it. And I know I'm using white, but I do think that it's nice enough and I could get away with it. So what I'm going to do is, it's got little holes in the end, so I'm going to thread my ribbon. This is where my pick tool comes in handy. Thread my ribbon through a hole at one end, and then thread my ribbon through the hole at the other end. Now, if you've got, you can do your sentiments however you like, wherever you like. It's not, I'm just showing you one way, and I really encourage people to take what I show them and run with it. Like it's nothing's set in stone. Okay, so I'm going to have the sentiment for this one down the bottom. And I don't need much ribbon at all. I'm going to put a bit of, and normally I would say don't use your Seal Plus on the back of your embossing because you might press it out, but I am doing it for this one only for that tiny little bit. Now, so I've got that bit there. Now our baubles need some string. So what I'm going to do is have my 3 baubles hanging. Now baubles normally have some string. So I will grab a glue dot. Yes, we did get hail in the storm. Yes, we could turn them into shaker ornaments, Vicky. I didn't. So is that what you're going to do on your next week's live? Do shaker ornaments? So you, I reckon if you, yeah, you could do shaker ornaments, and you could, oh, that would be even easier than what I'm doing now. You could make a shaker card and do some strips on the acetate, and you could really easily just cut a circle out of this backing piece. That would be really cool. Now because these are so fine, like because they're only 1/4 of an inch strips, I think that 1/2 inch strips are much easier to work with because you can hide your dimensionals and behind them. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing here, because my iPad keeps going to sleep, so I keep missing comments, and yeah. So that might be something I'll have to do, is do shaker cards again. Haven't done any shaker cards for ages. Now you could put a little hole in your those pieces and do it that way, those little gold bits, but I don't have the whole thingy here, and I don't want to use my take my pick tool on the table. So what I'm going to do is, I know that I want one up high. I'm just going to put a couple of glue dots behind on these strips behind it. So my first one is going to be flat on the card. Hope you just didn't see my head then. I haven't brushed my hair. I didn't figure I needed to brush my hair to be on a Facebook Live where you only saw my hands. So just need a few glue dots. Glue dots are my favourite thing. Just ask the ladies that I used to work with, who used to watch me put my hem up on my pants with my glue dots if I didn't have a stapler. So things you do when you can't sew. All right, so I'm going to put my first one here. I'm lying it flat. I've already put my Seal Plus at the top. Try and keep your, and I've got way too much twine, but that's okay. Now this one, I'm going to put it here so that it sort of interlocks with the other one, and we are going to use some offcuts of our dimensionals. Since I don't know, my mini dimensionals folder is in the other room. I should set up in my craft room all the cameras and everything there, but right now it's at the dining table. So when you're putting your dimensionals on, you want to make sure you can't see them through the acetate. So what's everyone's plans for this week? Are we doing anything exciting other than, for me, making swaps and prepping classes and prepping for a market? Actually for 2 markets. I'm excited though. But the market next week seems to be a little bit close for my liking. I didn't realise it was next week. Like, whoops. I thought I had another 2 weeks. No. So, and you don't have to put dimensionals on every strip. I have done it on most strips on this one just to give it a bit more stability. So I'm lining it up so that it sort of interlocks there. We've got this is string. Now, I don't have any gold thread. I don't know what happened to all of my gold thread that's in that I had from the catalogue. It's grown legs and disappeared. So this is my last one. So I'm going to put this one on with dimensionals as well. And I'm going to offset it down here, so in the middle actually. Or I might even not. I probably should have done this one smaller, but we'll work with it. So it's gonna have, now this has got dimensionals behind the strips of cardstock that I used. So it's already got some dimension in it. But yes, time does go quick, Jodie. Well, today when I was editing and I got up really early, like Steve will tell you, I was on the computer before he even went to work. And I actually looked up at the clock at about 11 o'clock and I'm still in my pajamas, and like Steve left the house at 7 a.m. And then I thought I'll just do one more thing, and it was 3 p.m. and I hadn't even had a shower or had breakfast or anything. No wonder I was hungry. But anyway, that's what happens when sometimes when you get involved with doing work. Oh, you thought we had another week too? Okay, oh. Yeah. I just can't believe that it's the end of the month, but I'm really excited because this weekend we're puppy sitting on Saturday. We're puppy sitting Chippy, who is a long-haired dachshund, and he's so beautiful. So that his human parents can go to a Halloween party. So that's pretty exciting. My nephew and his wife, they do a huge Halloween bash every year, and it is epic. is so, so epic. She goes all out. And that's her big thing. Now I've put a bit much, what is that stuff? Don't know what the names of anything is today. A bit much Stampin' Dimensionals. And I'm trying to line this up so it looks right. Yeah, that'll do. Well, might have to put it up a bit higher. So you've got to make sure your string's long enough so that it doesn't overlap. I think that I would probably like to have it over here a bit more. Let's do it there. I think that makes it. Now, depending on the size of your card and your card front, you need to look at what, how big your circles are, okay? Puppy's a year old, Vicky. He's beautiful. Chippy is, he's a official mascot for Parker and for Bovie Flowers, and he's just gorgeous. He's such a good dog too, except he gets a bit cranky, and if he doesn't want you to pat him, you know about it really quickly. He can be sitting on your lap and then decide that's it, he's had enough, and he gets cranky. But it's funny, he can't do stairs, and we have to be really careful at our place because we have lots of stairs. And the other thing we have to be careful of is he can fit through the balustrades on our stairs. So he could have a nasty fall if we don't block off the stairs. So I've bought a little gate things to put at the bottom of the stairs so he can't fall. I'm such a good aunt. Anyway. All right, so I'm going to put a bow on this. I didn't bring any bling out, but you can see it's coming together quite well, and I'm just going to tie a little bow down here. Now, if you wanted to just put one bauble on the front of your card, you could do that. Now, I'm going to get my little glue dots and stick my ribbon on. It's taking a bit to get used to having the glue dots on the inside of the paper, after so many years of them not being like that. And I'm just going to stick this little bow here. And I realised that I didn't put any dimensionals or anything behind that sentiment. I haven't actually attached it to the card other than the ribbon. So I need to do that really quickly. Luckily, I can lift it up. And we can put 4 little we need to make sure we put one in the middle. So yes. So there we go. So that's our card number 1. Now, if you want to, you could put little bows, the twine. It would look much better if I had gold twine. It really would. I'm quite happy with how that's turned out, except that's not straight. Lucky it's only stuck on with dimensionals, so I can straighten that a bit. we go. So there we go. So that's card number 1. And it's very different to, like, I don't normally make orange Christmas cards, but I do like receiving orange Christmas cards. So that is my first one. So the second one, even though I have done the 3 baubles, I'm not going to put 3 baubles on the front. I'm going to make this much more simple. And I've already stuck the bit on the inside of that one. Again, I'm going to use my ribbon, but this time I'm not going to emboss it. I'll just pop it straight on. And I'm going to use my ribbon as my twine thing. So I'm just going to pop a piece of ribbon round about here. You'll see what I mean in just a moment. I'll give myself a bit more. Alright, so I'm popping my card base on. Then I'm going to grab a glue dot. I love these glue dots, or 2. Let's just tear this bit off. And grab a glue dot. Oh, I didn't know you liked orange, Jodie. Found out that I might be slightly addicted to that on everything. I need to move that over a little bit. Let me see if I can do that without wrecking it. I can. Just going to move it over. Maybe 1/4 of an inch. I'm not worried about that glue dot, that errant glue dot that's still there, because I can just pick it up. There we go. Get that straight. Now, cut off those straggly edges. Again, we're going to put that on, use the side pieces of our dimensionals. Now, if you had the foam strips, they're great for this. Now because this one, we used a 1/2 inch strip instead of a 1/4 inch strip, it's much easier to hide the dimensionals. You really don't have to worry about seeing them. So I'm just reading the comments. So Veronica, are you still with us? And Kathleen, are you still with us? So this time next week, we will be, are you still here watching? Good. We will be recovering from Melbourne Cup. Is anyone doing anything exciting for Melbourne Cup? I really wanted to go to the races this year, but my buddy that I was going to go with happens to be in Whyalla, so that won't be happening. I haven't been, well, I haven't been to Melbourne Cup Day function since I got married. So it's a long time. Your Facebook is glitching. Oh, that's no good, Veronica. That might be because it's too wet. It might be flooding. Yeah, so I would love to go to the Melbourne Cup function this year, but the last time I went to Eagle Farm Racecourse, I think, and that was amazing. But what goes on at the racecourse stays at the racecourse, just saying. All right, because it was an epic day. And I don't remember coming home. But that was 20 years ago, so I can say that I was young and stupid, maybe. But yeah, it was a fun day and I loved the races. And when my sister-in-law first... Oh, your homemade bath bombs are exploding. That's no good, Vicky. What did you put in them? Oh. It must be too much bicarb soda or something. All right, so I'm going to put my little bow here. But before I do that, I'm thinking that I'm going to trim down my Merry Christmas. I'm thinking, oh, it's such a beautiful die cut. Why would I trim it? Trust me. Trust me, I'm a professional. I don't know. Hopefully you can't see my head. I just want it to be a bit thinner. And this is the beauty about die cutting and having things already cut and stamped, is that you can change them up whenever you want to. You don't have to necessarily follow the rules. Oh, the humidity, huh? Yes. That whole awful thing. All right, and I'm going to cut this end off as well because I only want one fancy end. All right, and I've got a bit of twine. So I'm going to put a bit of twine here through this bit. So make it so that it appears like it's tied onto my ribbon. Let's tuck that underneath. Now, I think this one is Sahara Sand twine. I think it's one of the out of the multi-pack that's in the catalogue, in the annual catalogue. That could be messy that the bath bombs are exploding, Vicky. I'm thinking... Yeah, I'm not going to let it hang off like this for long. I just need to make my bow a bit bigger. I shouldn't have tied that knot yet. And when you say exploding, Vicky, do you mean they're literally going bang, or do you mean they're just making a mess and oozing everywhere? Because if they were going bang, that'd be fun. Well, not really. As long as they're not all over the house. I'm really interested to see what you mean. Okay. Well, my hands haven't been working real well. Now, if I had gold twine, I would have used it here, but I don't. So, and I'm using whichever one I picked up. I couldn't even find the vanilla twine, so we're going to try that there. We're going to pop a dimensional under the front of it, and we're going to do a double dimensional at the other end. And I haven't got bling on the table, so we're not blinging it up today. I know that seems like a bit sacrilegious, really, not having bling, but and we'll stick our little bow on here. Now, if you want to adjust the loops on our bow, you just put your finger on the knot and press it down firmly, and it you can make it smaller. I'm going to make it a little bit smaller, and I want it to tuck under there. Now we get our glue dot. Glue dots are your best friend. I like putting more than one glue dot on my ribbon. And we'll pop this here. At the junction there. And make sure your twine's the right length. And I don't think that looks too terrible. I think that I might need a glue dot under that bit to hold it in the right spot, and that's okay. We've got plenty of them to go around. I think I keep the glue dot manufacturers in business. Let's hold that up there. So it's a little bit of a different card to make with the same technique, and these might be a bit crooked, I don't know. So there are my two cards. Now, I'm going to use those on something else a little later on. But let me know what you think. I really like the colours in this one. I think that when you're using strips, I think the half-inch strips are a better way to go than using a 1/4-inch strip, just because, or you could use different, so we've got a 1/2-inch and 1/4-inch strips there. So just play around with it and see what you like. You can put strips on and then stamp it. So I think they're quite lovely. Oh, thank you, Dawn. Thanks for popping in. We're just finishing up. So next week is Melbourne Cup Day. So bring your glass of wine and tell me how you went at the cup, and we will be doing a draw for the monthly challenge on my Facebook group. So this month the challenge was to use a non-Christmas stamp to make a Christmas card. And if you see here, here I've used a non-Christmas stamp. I've used a pretty medallion. Or you can use a Christmas card stamp to make something that's not Christmassy. I did have a sample on my desk to show you of another stamp, another card that I made using the circles like what we did last week. 1 second, I have to stand up and see if I can see it. It disappeared. How can things disappear when you have them just before you go live? I have no idea. We will have to wait until next week for me to show you those things. Oh, here they are. Here they are. So yesterday, I put this on my Facebook. Oh, thank you. Where are you? You're 6:57 a.m. Oh, goodness me. That's early dawn. So you must be in the US somewhere. These two cards are with scrap strips, and last week we did scrap circles. Hi Leanne, we're just finishing up. Okay, so last week was scrap circles, and I had a whole heap of green. Oh, New York. I love New York. New York City, New York State, love it. Been a couple of times. Yeah, it's a long way away. All right, so this was a card. I had all these green circles, granny apple green circles, and I had all these leaves left over. And these are from Forever Fern, and I had a couple of punched leaves. Anyway, I had planned to make a Christmas card because I wanted to use this embossing folder. But as I was sticking all of my different circles on, it turned into a monster, literally. So I had stuck all my circles on, and I used the painted texture embossing folder to emboss the circles that were stuck on the granny apple green circles. Now the old olive leaves, they're not embossed, they're just stamped and die cut, and they were all little leftover bits from another project. And so then I added the sequins for the eye, and I really like the eyes, but that's how I ended up with sequins in my underwear yesterday. So it's because I was playing with those. So the other one that I did, so I used the that pretty embossing folder. What's it called? The Whimsical Woodland, and then I had a whole heap of purple circles that were cut, and so I silver embossed them with the pretty medallion stamp set, and there you have, so they sort of look like Christmas baubles, and that is my, oh, you're 4 hours northwest of New York City. So I have to look that up on the map. We've been northwest of New York City because we drove to New York from Canada. But I will look that up, Dawn, and have a look next week. Hopefully you'll join us next week. And so, yeah, so they were my circle cards going on from the theme that we had last week of using circle scraps. So we've got strippy scraps, using an acetate circle with some scraps of paper. As I said, 1/2 inches I think work much better than the 1/4 inches because you can fit a full dimensional behind a 1/2 inch strip. You can't. So fit a full dimensional behind a 1/4 inch strip. You've got to do some cutting. So those are the 2 cards that we made tonight, and these are just 2 examples. So next week after the Melbourne Cup, I think that I might do a colour challenge. So I will put up some options over the next week for people to vote on, and then we will then go from there. I'll see how we go with the colours, and I'll get Steve to tell us which is the winner. You like the purple one? I'm glad you like it, Vicky. That might be your Christmas card, maybe. Thank you, Veronica, and thank you, Jody. Thank you, everybody, for coming. Yeah, I love the monster too, Dawn. My niece reckons it looks a bit like the book from Hocus Pocus. So now I'm a bit inspired to go and make a Hocus Pocus book for her, since and I might do it as a little mini scrapbook since she's going to the Halloween party for my nephew next weekend. So I'll have to have a look. Yeah, I thought it was a dragon eye. Yeah, it does, doesn't it, Veronica? I watched the next Hocus Pocus movie last weekend, the weekend before. Really loved it. Anyway, excuse me, that's it for me tonight. It's a bit over time. I'm sorry about that. But I will catch up with you next Tuesday night or Monday, Tuesday morning, I think it is, if you're in the US. And be sure to watch it on replay. We've got a couple of different ideas, and I'm hoping that this will be able to continue. And we'll see you after the Melbourne Cup next week. Until next time, happy creating. And Kylie S, I will contact you about your prize. Okay, until next time, bye. Happy creating. Oops, it won't let me stop.